Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and welcome to day 19 of By the Well for God's Witness to the Wonder. Now today's process video is probably the easiest memory decks card you will ever see me create, but what I love about it is it was so easy to do, but yet I love the look of it at the end, so bear with me and this is going to be a short video. Now, I had previously messed up on a spiritual prescription card for another day, but I decided to keep the card and I'm so glad I did. A lot of times when I mess up on something, I will keep that item because I can usually use it for something else as well. So I just typed up a quote from Judy on the back side of this card that went along with day 19 and talking about the wise men. Judy talks about the Magi and says, "They stepped into the spotlight to fulfill their part in Jesus' birth, and then faded from sight. Not much more is known except for 5 facts we can emulate. They believed the scriptures, sought Jesus, recognized his worth, worshipped him, and finally obeyed God rather than man." So I took this snowflake out of the kit stamp and I'm stamping it on some Kraft Heavystock paper with Versamark ink. Eventually, I will use that peeled paint embossing glaze on top of it. Now, I know that the embossing glaze is clear, and so you'll be able to see those brown tones peek out, and that's okay with me. I had tried this before with pink for a different card, and I totally didn't like the look of it with the pink. But since I want a deeper, darker green anyhow, I figured this would work, and it absolutely does. Now, obviously, if you were embossing on some white paper, you wouldn't see how much this changes. But since it has that brown behind it, it definitely deepens it up and darkens it a little bit. It almost looks like a forest moss color, which I really like. Now, I'm actually keeping the backside of this Memory Decks card super simple. All I'm doing is these snowflakes, but I really wanted it to look pretty, and I also have been dying to use the snowflake somewhere in this Memory Decks card project. I'm going to glue the front and back together, and here's where you're going to get a sneak peek of what that Kitsch Flamingo embossing glaze looked like on craft paper. Obviously, this was not what I was going for, so anyhow, I just saved that 4x4 square because I knew I could use it in a future memory decks, and here we are. I'll make sure these 2 cards are lined up nicely before I start rounding the corners and adding my memory decks punch. Now with the Kraft Heavystock paper, it does make it really tricky to use this punch. So you definitely have to push it down nice and hard. And with the memory decks punch, you're gonna make sure to have a hard surface to push down on. And it even takes me 2 hands to punch through. So now I'm grunging up all the sides, and then the hardest part of this whole card is trying to figure out what alpha sticker to use. Now, I had a couple in my stash that I haven't used yet or don't use often, and so I decided to take those out. There's a couple that I thought would match well, and so I decide on these wood grain letters. I really like them. There's not a lot of room for them, but I don't mind that they're sticking up over because I can use some powder on the back side to make them not sticky. But once I realized that I'm going to have to get rid of the bow to use them, I scrapped that idea and it turned to these little foam metallic stickers, which I think are perfect, honestly. I'm so glad that the wood grains didn't work because these are better, I think. So I'm going to spell out Magi on them, and then I'm going to add the bow. And then the last finishing touch is adding a little number 19 in the bottom right-hand corner of this card. After placing those alphas and numbers, the last thing I have to do is glue down that fabric bow. That bow was from a Maggie Holmes bow set that I had in my stash, and it matched perfectly with this kit, so I figured why not use it. I will be adding that to the top right-hand corner of the little spiritual prescription card. It will kind of hide some of the words, but you can always move it because I'm just adding glue to where the knot of the bow is. After that, this simple memory decks card will be complete. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll link everything I use down below. If you haven't followed me over on Instagram yet, my name over there is Wonderfully Made Handcrafting. I hope you have a wonderful day and Merry Christmas.